It's a full camp as players are arriving. Alex Bregman here for his first full team workout with the Boston Red Sox. Good amount of fans on hand, as well as the first full team workout coincides with the first day of school vacation back north. Keeping an eye on some of the early storylines, Brayan Bello with a little bit of a shoulder thing, throwing today. We'll keep an eye on that. And the Red Sox, who came into this camp talking about potentially a six-man rotation, dealing with minor setbacks to Brayan Bello and Cutter Crawford. We'll have the latest on that and hear what is happening with both of those pitchers as we welcome you to the beginning of another work week in sunny Southwest Florida. Tom Karen, Lou Merlone. It's 3:10 to left, presented by your New England Ford dealers. This is really the beginning of the whole thing. We had pitchers and catchers last week, but today the full team is here. Ownership, management is here. They had that closed-door meeting about an hour ago. Goose Gregson said he's ready to run through a wall after seeing everybody. He's been through 53 of these as a longtime coach. But what does today mean to a baseball team? What do you think the mood was in that clubhouse?
Well, the athletes finally showed up. Enough with the pitcher catchers. But now you got the position players here, and they're all in one room. It's official now, right? And you get in your groups and you look around that locker room. I think you just kind of walk through, you see some new faces, some key additions. I think it just sort of changes everything, right? You got a better feeling coming in here to camp, which I think is a little bit different than the last 2 years.
Alex Bregman, of course, as you look at him right now, what's going on behind us, he's the big addition, the sort of might not be the last piece they had, but in a lot of ways the final piece to the puzzle, right? They had gone out and addressed so much of the pitching needs. Then they went out and got the right-handed power bat that is expected to produce at Fenway Park, but also a guy who brings the leadership skills we've been talking about, the championship pedigree, the guy who has been through it all and is going to share that experience with a young team around him.
Hearing him talk yesterday was fantastic because it just – we've often talked about bringing an adult into the room. It's like an alpha male here right now, right? Every word out of his mouth was about winning, was about I'm in the playoffs 8 years straight. It's not stopping now. I'm a winning player. We're going to continue to win. So it's just that message right away that just builds confidence, in a young group, some experience, but for the most part a young group.
No coincidence here that you see Khristian Campbell right now stretching with Trevor Story, Alex Bregman, right? You've got this bumper crop rated by some as the best farm system in all of baseball. You want those guys being around the leaders of this team.
And this is one of the added pluses you get with a guy like Bregman, not just on the field, but you sort of feel like the development of some of your young stars that are in here, everything just sort of sped up a little bit, when able to talk to a player. And it means, listen, the coaches are talking to these guys, and they're trying to teach them infield instruction, batting practice, everything else. But when it comes from one of your peers, when it comes from a guy you're playing with, it means so much more. It always has.
There's going to be a lot of talk about the leadership and the mentoring that Bregman will bring and will do for the young players on this team. But it's also an important camp for him. First time in a new organization, maybe the first time trying different positions. How different is the early days of these camp workouts for Alex Bregman?
Anytime you grow up in an organization, it's odd switching that first time. I remember the first time I left and went to San Diego, and I'm in front of a new group, in a new league, right? At least he's familiar with some of these guys. But you walk in here, and he's trying to get the names down. He's trying to understand the people, the trainers, the clubbies, the coaches, the teammates, all these things. And he's trying to figure all that out and get comfortable. When you go to a spring training, you just know how to get to this ballpark. But when it's new, you're trying to figure out what's around here. Where can I grab some dinner? Where am I staying? All these sort of things. And then you get to Boston and it happens again.
Doing all that while spending time at second base for the first time in a long time, at shortstop. How about that part of it? How different is that for him?
Well, I think it's going to be a slight adjustment, but we're talking about a middle infielder. There'll be a lot of guys that that played third their whole careers, and you say that transition to second will be a little bit strange for him. Turning double plays will be a little bit different for him. But with a guy like Bregman, who's pretty much a shortstop that's been turned into a third baseman and then improved to a Gold Glove level, I don't really think it's that big of an adjustment at all. I saw him take ground balls here on Saturday at second base, and turning two, the footwork was perfect. It turned two better than anybody here who's been playing second every day.
All right, we're out here on Field 3. The sixth field is part of Fenway South, the big complex. And we've chosen Field 3 today because that's where the infield's going to be. So in just a little bit, we're going to watch some of this infield work and show you what they are doing in these early days, where Bregman is working today. And as he begins to work on that relationship with Trevor Story, they might be on the middle infield together. You'll get to see the very first steps of that process. But first, let's hear what Alex Bregman had to say. Yesterday, the official press conference, he was here with his agent, Scott Boras, President and CEO Sam Kennedy, Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow, and, of course, the manager Alex Cora, all lined up at the podium and talked about the arrival of Bregman in Boston.
I've been fortunate enough to be in the playoffs the first 8 years of my career, and I plan on continuing to do that here. I'm a winning player. This is a winning organization. Those players are winning players. We have winning coaches here, and I plan on winning here. After talking with some of the guys over the last 2 days, I can see that there's something special here. Franchise players, veteran players, young players, all ready to get after it.
In 24 hours, his teammates, the coaching staff, the front office has seen, what I've been talking about him for a long period of time. This kid gets it. He caught my attention in 2017, and throughout the years, he keeps evolving, he keeps getting better, and the most important thing, he wants to win. That's it. For him, it's his family, it's baseball, and winning, and I'm excited to have him here now.
Well, I think I said it a little bit earlier. It's just I feel like I have a great opportunity to win here. Obviously, playing at Fenway is awesome. Playing for a city that not only loves winning but expects to win, and I like playing in those kind of pressure-packed environments, and I feel like got that here in Boston. My favorite player, Dustin Pedroia, did. He reached out a few times this offseason and talked to me about how special it was to be a part of the Boston Red Sox, and it was pretty cool to talk to him as well as so many other former players here in Boston and current players on the team as well. It was great. The atmosphere was incredible. Living on every pitch. Definitely a tough place to play on the road. Memories were good 2 years and not so good when Benintendi dove and cut that ball that 1 year.
What did you think when that ball went off your bat?
I thought we won the game, but then he had different plans. I just want to come in and work hard every single day. Try and be a good teammate. Play hard. Leave it all out in the field and win.
Did you get roughed up in Boston, booed by the fans when you came there in 2021?
Yeah, but it's all good.
Well, right at the beginning of that press conference, I think he said the word winning 4 times in the first 30 seconds.
Beautiful.
That's what this is all about.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely beautiful. Like I said, that clip that we just played is like the first words out of his mouth. And he wasn't messing around. Like, I'm not here to lose, period. And, I'm actually looking forward to the speech at the end of the year. Nobody thought we could win the division, right? Because we've heard that now in Houston, the famous Bregman speeches. So it's just nice. It's nice to have him here. And I know everybody feels a lot better about it, especially in that clubhouse.
Thought it was interesting that Dustin Pedroia had reached out. There are a lot of similarities between the two players.
There really is. I mean, you're talking about baseball rats. Like, it's all about baseball. Huddy told me a story at third, with Bregman at third base. They were getting ready to play the Rays. Houston was, and we had just played the Rays. And for 3-game series, he was peppering me about what to expect. Like, what'd you see from these arms? A lot of times they just joke about, right? Family, what are you doing afterwards? You got any dinner plans? This guy just wanted to talk about the next series and what to expect. Like, this is just who he is. And that stuff is huge.
And that's the stuff we've been talking about, the intangibles. You can talk about the numbers on the field will speak for themselves. You can talk about the leadership and the mentoring and all of that. But even guys who are leaders don't necessarily have that sort of baseball IQ that when you have a conversation with him around the cage, you're learning something. Yeah. You're going to hear something that if you listen to him, you'll be better for that next series.
Yeah, and the thing is, the evolution of a Major League Baseball player, you come up here your first year or two and you try to prove you can play in the league. So there's a lot of stuff you're dealing with. And then once you get to that level where you've proven what you can do, you're a proven player, proven star, now you sort of expand that. Now you start talking to others about the things that you've learned to help you get to that point. So there's a lot of guys here that are still in that proving a big leaguer stage, you know, and now you've got this guy that's comfortable. And this is where we're talking about Trevor Story. He's a proven big leaguer, but there's a lot of stuff he's trying to prove individually, staying on the field, performing in Boston. This guy's comfortable in his own skin. He's at that level where he's ready now to teach some of these young kids.
If you get a Trevor Story healthy for a full season, that's a whole different thing now when you're talking about Bregman and Story in the middle of that infield, middle of that lineup.
Well, what Bregman does is brings you gold glove defense. And I'm sorry, it will be at second base if that's where he's at. Or it'll be at third base if that's where he's at. Trevor Story's another one of those guys, right? Just stay healthy, right? Just be out there short for 140 games or so, and you will see a team defense improve.
It was always durable in Colorado.
Yeah.
It seemed to change as soon as he got here. Hopefully it changes this season with the Red Sox. We are here on Field 3. Just a few moments, you're going to get to see those guys and others working out the infield, coming together over here on Field 3, getting their workout in. It is the first day of full team workouts in spring training 2025, and we are here with 3:10 to left. When we come back, we'll hear from Trevor Story and get a closer look at the infield coming together for the first time. 3:10 to left is presented by your New England Ford dealers. Back after this. So there it is, first day of full team workouts, the infield coming together, and our first look at Alex Bregman. And he's where he's been most of his career. He's at third base, where he won a Gold Glove last year. Now, before we all jump to conclusions, part of this is Rafael Devers is being slowed down a little bit. He's actually inside the stadium right now getting his first throws in. He's just starting up his throwing. That shoulder has been an issue.
Yeah, he's a little bit behind throwing. You know, the right shoulder's the one that he jammed in Colorado, where really the season turned around. He was always dealing with the left all year long, but when that front shoulder, throwing shoulder, affected him in Colorado, that's where the season really went in the tank, really in August and September. So they're just sort of slow playing the throwing motion, maybe not ready to take ground balls. So with the opening at third, we're going to read into this all spring training, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. I mean, and just the fact that he's there, like if it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to be in second base, you'd probably have him at second base right now and have someone else at third. But there is a chance he's at third base. And if Devers might not be ready for the start of the season, you'll probably get a lot of looks at Bregman there.
Yeah, I think you will. You know, I think deep down, there really are a lot of factors. They're not 100% sure where he is going to play. But for me, personally, I need to make sure second base is secured defensively. I need to make sure that the kid, Khristian Campbell, if he is ready, we know offensively, we talk all about him, but we always forget, and we shouldn't really in Boston about the defensive side, given how bad they've been defensively and how they've lost games. So if he can play second base, then I would see Bregman at third, which would be interesting because does he split spring training, second and third, just in case they need him in either spot?
Worth noting that as we sit here on Field 3, it is Vaughn Grissom at second base. Khristian Campbell is not with this group. He's over on another field right now. What do you read into that?
I don't. Sometimes in spring training, it's always, I remember when we get here, look at the first groups. Now, I personally, if I was with the starters, I was surprised, right? I was always expecting to be over there. You try not to read into it too much. You got the first group here, Meyer and Story are at shortstop, Grissom's at second, and then there's that second group of infielders working in the outfield, turning double plays of Gonzalez, Hamilton. That's where Grissom is with Toro and Sogard. So just getting some extra work in.
Let's talk about Vaughn Grissom a little bit. Alex Cora said, give him a mulligan for life. Just wipe the whole year away. The guy has always hit, including his time with Atlanta in the majors.
Yeah.
Last year, wasn't healthy when he got here to camp, got the flu after that. Remember they said he lost 15 pounds. He just never recovered from that. He looks bigger. He looks stronger. They say he added 20 pounds. He could be a sleeper in this camp.
Yeah, things did change for him, right? With the Bregman signing, we still don't know. But then again, if he's at third, now we're right back to the original competition at second base. For a guy like Vaughn Grissom, for him, honestly, it's about getting healthy. It's about being the player that they thought he was or that he was before this trade. So he's got to get out there, not just offensively start feeling like the guy, because that's where the impact is with the bat, but defensively. I think last year we spent some time trying to get comfortable at second. I think it took a while, and hopefully this year you can start seeing some improvements defensively.
Interesting to remember, he's 22 years old. When the season ended last year, he was the youngest player on the team. Marcelo Meyer's 22. Khristian Campbell's 22.
Yeah.
He is the age of some of these prospects we've been talking about.
Yeah, he's young. He climbed through the system, and there's still a lot of development there. But again, I think I focus on the defense, especially when we're talking about second. You're starting double plays, you're finishing double plays. Cora's really pounded this, how important double plays are. You need them at this level. Okay, you need them. You need to get out of jams and turn double plays, and last year they just didn't do enough of it.
Second base is the real competition, and where those guys, how they perform this spring training is going to be part of the equation that decides where Bregman plays. Obviously, the health of Rafael Devers at third base is going to be part of the equation on where Bregman plays. But one place we know that is locked down, if healthy, Trevor Story is the shortstop of the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, you watch him take ground balls. I wish every kid here who is an infielder, films him. Because it's perfect. It's perfect. Everything fundamentally stays low, gets low, has great hands, throws on the run. He's athletic. It's so important to this defense for this guy to stay healthy, defensively stay in the middle of that field.
You remember the start of last year, how good they looked at the very beginning. He went down in Anaheim, and it almost felt like they lost their confidence as a team. The entire infield suddenly was shaky because Story was gone.
Those first 2 or 3 series, when he was healthy, there were just plays that weren't made the year before. There were plays that needed to be made at this level that just weren't. And he's almost started accepting the fact that those plays aren't going to be made. He changed that. He changed that immediately. And you're right, when he went down, he brings this calmness to every infielder because he makes every play look easy. And trust me, you feed off of that. When he left, panic set in all across the diamond. All of a sudden, Devers wasn't playing as well as third. Second basemen weren't playing as well because that calmness had left the team.
We talk about the mentorship of Alex Bregman. Well, Marcelo Meyer right now spending some time talking to Trevor Story. That's a pretty good guy to learn from.
Yeah, it really is. And Marcelo's a plus defender. This kid is smooth. Every part of his game is smooth. Smooth swing from the left side. He's really smooth in the field. He's smooth actions. Plays very similar. Can play on the run. And anything you can pick up from a guy like Story helps.
All right, Trevor Story, obviously part of the leadership group here, now welcoming in Alex Bregman to that group and to this team. And over the weekend, Trevor Story talked about this camp and being back, trying to be healthy for a full season with the Red Sox.
A guy that's won brings a certain amount of intensity, to our clubhouse and some leadership. So, I've known Alex. We've gotten close over the last few years, and it was cool, man, because he was kind of recruiting me to Houston, and now the roles had reversed. So I was recruiting pretty hard to come here, and it's great to see that we got it done, and just excited to kind of get going.
Just defensively, how excited are you to play alongside him and kind of what that'll do for the infield? Yeah,
he was a Gold Glover last year, so anytime you can add a Gold Glove infielder, that's a big thing, and it's kind of been a weakness of ours the last couple of years, and which it bothers me because I haven't been able to be out there and play and to help that out. But a great addition to kind of shore things up because if we're going to go where we want to go, we need to play good defense.
The assumption is he's going to play second. We'll ask Cora about that later. But if he does, how important is it for you? You played second base for a full season there in 2000. To help him.
Yeah, we'll see. We don't know how the infield is going to be aligned. So, but if that's the case, I played second for that that first year here, and I think he's kind of a shortstop at heart. He back in his LSU days. I think if you just take that mentality anywhere you're playing on the infield, it'll serve you well. And I think for me, that's the way I did it, and just try to stay as athletic as possible, no matter where you're playing at. I think that's what plays. So he's really good at that. Obviously, he's got the gold to show for it. So
what are some of the things, Trevor? I think you guys used 11 different second basemen last year. You obviously weren't here for a chunk of that, but just to have a regular partner over there and someone that you can be comfortable with. Alex was talking Cora was talking about knowing where the feed's going to be, how you like it, just to work with the same guy. How important is that?
Yeah, it's obviously preferred to have, obviously you want a regular guy at every single position every single day. But I think the game's a little different now. There's a lot of versatility and matchups that come into hand. So, but yeah, whoever's playing second, I think that's going to be a big part of spring training for us. Is we're going to get out there and get the reps in, get comfortable, find our chemistry, and then let it rip.
Kevin, being familiar up the middle,
All right, that's Trevor Story talking over the weekend. This is Trevor Story getting in his work with the defensive group. First day of full team workout. The infield is here getting it done. Lou and I are back with more after this as we roll on with 3:10 to left, presented by New England Ford Dealers. All right, Alex Bregman here. First day of full team workouts. Alex Cora has to love what they have done with this team in the offseason. But, you know, as a guy who was an infielder himself and was a guy who took a lot of pride in fundamentals, doing the little things, right? We've heard him a lot talk about that over the last 2 years, and then show his frustration over the last 2 years as they struggled fundamentally. How much better does he feel today with a Bregman and a Story in there in the infield?
Yeah, well, I think anytime you bring that kind of experience, no matter where he ends up playing, right? Because you're right, like this is a guy, Alex Cora, that made his bones in this league by playing defense, you know, and battling offensively, putting up some numbers, but for the most part, it was you relied on that glove. And for him, the last couple of years to watch what's going on, and a lot of that is personnel. You know, again, when Trevor Story goes down, now all of a sudden you try David Hamilton, maybe he's more comfortable at second. You put Cedon there, but it's an inexperienced shortstop, a rookie that's bouncing back and forth. So, you know, and he talked about it, like a guy like Trevor Story saves jobs. You know, if Trevor Story was healthy the last 2 years, maybe you don't have a third infield coach, you know, the last 3 years. These players have a way of making some coaches look good.
We just heard from Trevor Story, interesting comments from him, certainly. And again, you said it best, where he's a guy who's done the leadership part. Last 2 winters, he's had that Story camp where he's brought all the young guys to it. I guess he's got like a better facility than most major league teams have, this place in Texas. So he's brought guys together and tried to pass on some of the things. He talked about camps that Tulowitzki had when he was a young guy in Colorado, passing those lessons along. But you got to stay on the field first, right? When the season starts, if you're not on the field, you can't do much to lead a team.
Yeah, and it's been a struggle from the get-go. Even like that first year, like he had that one stretch in like May, year 1. It's been 3. And the next thing you know, here comes the elbow. That shuts him down. And when he comes back, he's not ready to hit. He didn't look right in 2023. And even last year, you know, everybody thought after that's, 7, 8 games, 9 games into it, he hurts his shoulder. He's done for the year. He comes back. He's not ready, you know. But I thought offensively he looked better this time than he did the year before. So you want to get that foundation, and you want to keep this thing going. I'm sure he'd love to get into June, July healthy and feel like he's in a baseball season again, because it's been a while.
All right, let's go to the other side of the infield. One guy we haven't talked about is Khristian Campbell.
Yeah.
Another guy who wants to stay healthy, stay on the field. You know, looked like he was off to a great start last year offensively. Again, you start thinking about 30, 35, 40 home runs. Then that strange injury, right? The violence of the swing factoring into that. We'll all be watching that closely here as he plays this out.
Yeah, for him, the most important stat is games played, right? Because if he gets the games played, if he gets the 150 to 55 at first base, you know he's going to pop 30 plus. He just has that in him. And last year you started to see it too. There was some struggles against lefties, and then early on in the year when he started the season, there was a more aggressive approach to them, and I like it. Don't just let him get that first pitch fastball in there. So there was more aggressive Khristian Campbell, which is what we saw in the second half of his rookie year. So he's a force. He can hit. We know that. He can get on base. Gives you good quality at bat, and you really need him healthy.
You said before Trevor Story saves jobs. A first baseman saves an infield.
Yeah.
What does he got to do to take that next step defensively?
Well, I think defensively, the strength of his game is actually, I believe, picking balls. Last year, I thought he got a lot better. You know, throws from third, throws from short, second, wherever it may be. For him, it's just more of like defensively. You know, you can't treat a ground ball like you're picking a throw from the infield. The body's got to move a little bit. You got to get in front of it. You can knock it down, flip it to the pitcher. With him, it's always going to be a struggle range-wise, right? Like it's a big body. You got to sacrifice something with the way you hit the baseball. So for him, defensively, there's a step. You know, first step quickness, I think, is a big improvement you can see, hopefully.
All right, Khristian Campbell, obviously part of all this as well. You've been watching him closely. What does he have to do now as he tries to make that final case for a spot on the Major League roster? Defensively, what's he got to work on at second base?
I think he's got to tighten some things up defensively. That's all, a little footwork. I mean, we know he's a big kid over there at second base. We know he can swing, he can impact the baseball. But defensively, for me, watching him for 2 or 3 days, it's just footwork around turning 2. You know, the feet are off a little bit. He's throwing across his body, trying to finish off the double play. A little bit of a rush starting double plays. So, you know, starting them and finishing them are things he's got to really tighten up here in camp.
Guy who started last year in Greenville, right?
Yeah.
Shot from single A through double A to triple A and just kept dominating everywhere he's been. But that's a fast rise.
And that's the thing we forget, too, sometimes. When they come up here, you love to see the finished product. The reality is it's not. So he's only been in the minor leagues for a couple of years. And you start talking about some of the other guys, like whether it's Anthony and Meyer, and you look at their numbers versus lefties, and that's where Anthony took the next step. But when these kids come out of high school, or Campbell, 1 year in college, you have to realize that they probably never faced professional lefties, number one, with good fastballs and breaking balls. And, never really tightened up some little things like defense and footwork that it takes to be in the big leagues. They've all been in the minors for just a few years.
No doubt about that, but they have put up some eye-popping offensive numbers, which is why we're having this conversation today. Khristian Campbell out there working with the infield. As we roll on, we'll take a break, come back. Talk a little about the pitching. Tanner Houck talked about trying to build off an all-star season. Spoke with him earlier today. You'll hear that when we continue on 3:10 to left, presented by your New England Ford dealers. First day of full team workouts is coinciding with the first day of school vacation for most people back up north, President's Day. And I've been doing these a long time, and this might not be 2004 numbers, okay? But it's a bigger crowd than we've seen the last couple of years of first day. There's definitely a little buzz back around this team.
Yeah, it was a nice little teaser, right? I don't know if people changed plans, so probably a lot of these people were coming anyways, but I'm sure Wednesday night when they heard news of Alex Bregman, they got a little more excited about coming down here.
I get to the beach this afternoon, watch a little baseball this morning. The pitching, of course, is expected to be improved. You add Garrett Crochet, Walker Buehler. You expect Lucas Giolito back. You've added some pieces to the bullpen as well, but you've got a core of guys who are coming off breakthrough seasons. Carter Crawford, Brian Bayo, and Tanner Houck all hit their 30-start plateau, and Houck made it to the All-Star game for the first time. Spoke with him this morning about building on that and the excitement about the additions coming to the Red Sox in 2025.
It's been great. I've been here in Fort Myers for about a week now. It's good to be back with the boys. Obviously getting to know a bunch of new faces, but that's the time of the year it is. Day one of camp for everyone today, so even more new faces coming in, but excited to work with them all and start to get this thing going.
Some of these new faces have pretty impressive resume. Bregman wins a couple of World Series championships. The expectations kind of being cranked up a little here, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we all want. We all want expectations high because we all have high expectations for ourselves to go out there and win and perform at the ability that we all know that we have. It's just about putting all the pieces together at the right time.
You had a chance to talk to Walker, Garrett much, getting to know them?
Yeah, I've been talking to him the whole time, getting to know each other well in this first week, kind of talking through pitching viewpoints, kind of how they go about things. Even though we throw a little bit different, all three of us, can always pick their brains about different feels, different ways to execute pitches, and just kind of working through at bats. So I'll pick their brain now and throughout the whole season.
This time last year, you were trying to make the rotation, and I know you never take anything for granted. You're always fighting for your place in this game, but how good does it feel having shown you can answer the bell and do those 30-plus starts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great first step. The job's not done by any means. I know that last year was a great step forward in terms of my growth as a player, new career highs and everything, and I hope to do that again this year. Ended on a little bit sour of note. Wish I could have finished stronger, but to say that I had a good year last year, finished all the way through, got the 30 starts was a great feat.
How do you see this rotation in terms of fitting in the all of baseball with Lucas back and the additions that you were made? Do you guys feel like you can be one of the top pitching groups as a whole?
Yeah, I think everyone in the rotation has the ability to go out there and make 30-plus starts, 170, 180, 190, hopefully 200 innings for a lot of us. A lot of competitors in here that will go out there and take the ball every fifth day and leave it all out there, and that's all you can ever ask for.
The presence of some of these guys.
Well, Tanner Houck, obviously, when you're an all-star, you've done something. When you've made your 30 starts, you've done something. And we came into this camp talking a lot about a six-man rotation. Well, We now know Cutter Crawford stepped back with a knee. Brian Bayo, who threw today, has a little bit of a shoulder. That 6-man becomes 4-man real fast. You need the depth, and the Red Sox feel they've built it up.
Yeah, you do, and especially when it comes to Tanner Houck. Like, we forget, like, that was his first year as being a big league starter, and you learn so much about your body, He comes out on fire. And then the second half, we talk about how he fell off in the second half. His ERA was a 4.23 in the second half. Like, I'd love to fall off, and have a 4.23 and just be a good pitcher, you know what I mean? So for him, I'm sure he learned a lot. Like, he comes out of the gate, but yeah, the first year as a starter, you hit that August wall, and all of a sudden, physically, maybe you have a better understanding year two what you need to do throughout the year to get you through it and finish strong, right? And this is like what a lot of guys had done throughout the season too. So he's a great addition. We know what he can be. We'll see if he tweaks maybe a little bit of that usage.
You've added top of the rotation guys who expect to have swing and miss stuff. Crochet certainly. Buehler, if he's back to who he was, going to get strikeouts. Giolito gets strikeouts when he's healthy. The guys we're talking about, they want to get some ground ball outs. This defense will factor into that. How much does Bregman help those ground ball pitchers?
Yeah, and I'd say, like, last year, the lack of strikeout put a lot of pressure on your defense, right? Like, we mentioned this offense striking out 10, 12 times a game. Well, as a pitching staff, you're getting 7 or 8 punch-outs. There's more plays to be made, and there's more ground balls, giving your whole staff, especially Bayo and Houck, the way they throw the ball, and that bullpen got a lot of ground balls. So the addition of the strikeouts takes some pressure off the defense. And, of course, like you said, you want everybody to build. You want Bayo to be better. You want Houck to learn. You want Crawford to learn. And I think that only helps.
All right, so the first day of full-team workouts here, and it began with that closed-door meeting where ownership talks, management talks, Cora talks. It's always, no matter what, 30 camps had that today. 30 camps feel like they're going to win the World Series right now. But there's no doubt there is more enthusiasm and higher expectation in Boston than we've seen in a couple of years.
Yeah, the reality is the players are in those meetings, and you hear from the owners. And I've been on teams where you sort of, you want to, get the applause comes when they walk through the door, given what had happened in the offseason, right? I've been through other meetings where it's a little bit quieter, and you hear a lot about how we believe in you and how we think this team can make the postseason, and you leave there and you're like, yeah, I guess 5 things, 6, 8, 10 things got to break for us to get there. This is a different feel. I think, this might have been an applause type of ceremony, given especially the recent news with Bregman. But I think there's a belief now, and I think it's honest. I think it's true, and I think everybody knows that.
We'll get more detail on that tonight. We come your way with Red Sox from Fort Myers, presented by Mass Mutual. We'll hear from team president and CEO Sam Kennedy about how that meeting went today. We'll hear from Alex Cora, and we will be joined by Alex Bregman, the centerpiece of that excitement going on here in Boston. Listening to national radio this morning, everybody talking about the Red Sox all of a sudden and what they can accomplish. So we hope you can join us at 6:30 for Red Sox from Fort Myers. We'll be back live on Nessa Nation with 3:10 to left tomorrow, and that wraps up this edition of the show. It's 3:10 to left, presented by your New England Ford dealers for Lou Merlone and our hardworking crew, both here in Florida and back up north in Boston. I'm Tom Garrett. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.